Students, welcome to NEET class. We were learning in our last class about sexual reproduction in flowering plants. One part we finished, that is production of pollen grains. Pollen grains are also called as microspores because they are very small in size. Micro means small. So as these spores are very small in size, they are called microspores. Microspores are also called as pollen grains. Other name for microspores. Okay, so formation of pollen grains in the anther or formation of microspores in the anther of a flower is what we call microsporogenesis. Genesis means formation. We have learnt, I am just recalling what we have learnt in our last class. Okay, so we have learnt in our last class about microsporogenesis, that is formation of microspores. In the anther of a flower. So can you tell me what is meant by gametophyte? The word is there, gametophyte means, you have already learned this chapter. Gametophyte, gamete means sex cell. It is also called as sex cell, it is also called germ cell. Okay, it is also called as gametes. Like in human beings, it is male produces sperm, female produces egg. These are gametes, sex cells. What about in plants? In plants, it should be pollen grains and egg, isn't it? But pollen grain is not a gamete. It is a gamete producing structure, because what exactly is male gamete in flower? Not pollen grain. Pollen grain is male gametophyte. What is gametophyte means? Gamete means sex cell, Phyta means plant, okay, or it's a structure. It is a structure which produces gametes. So it is a structure which produces gamete. That means gamete producing structure is called as gametophyte. So what is male gametophyte then? Male gametophyte. In plant, male gametophyte is pollen grain. Because pollen grain is not a gamete. Pollen grain contains gamete. Okay. So let us see how it contains gamete. What are those gametes? We will see. So pollen grain is male gametophyte. Means it contains gametes. So if we see the structure, we have already learned that structure, do you remember? That is cross section of anther, where four microsporangia are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 microsporangia. Microspore means pollen grains. Sporangia. Angium means bag-like structure. Bag-like structure which produces pollen grains. First, when it is young anther, all these cells will be what? These are sporogenous tissue, isn't it? Sporogenous. Genus means spore producing structure. Spore producing tissue. This tissue, in future, when young anther becomes mature, this sporogenous tissue becomes cells. What cells it becomes? It becomes MMC, that is microspore mother cell, or PMC, pollen mother cell. Okay, microspore mother cell. Then microspore mother cell undergoes division. Which type of division it undergoes? Can you tell me which type of division it undergoes? It undergoes mitosis, isn't it? Mitosis or meiosis? You should tell me, because you have already learnt mitosis and meiosis. It undergoes meiosis. Microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis, reduction division, because most of the gametes universally are haploid, n number of chromosomes. So microspore mother cell MMC, okay, is diploid to N, then it becomes microspore mother cell. If I have to draw, this is suppose microspore mother cell MMC. Like this MMC, many will be there, thousands will be there in one sporogenous tissue. Okay, one sporogenous tissue contains microspore mother cells in so many numbers. Okay, each microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis, reduction division, where 2n number of chromosomes will be reduced to n. Diploid becomes haploid, you know. Chromosome number becomes half. Okay, so it should be reduction division. Then meiosis, microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis and produces a structure which contains 4 cells. The structure will be like this, see, which contains 4 cells. This is called tetrad. Tetra means 4. Tetrad means structure containing 4 cells. This is cell 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, tetrad. Then tetrad later produces a structure. What is that structure? It again undergoes meiosis and produces 4 haploid megaspores. So it should be, it undergoes meiosis again, okay, and produces 4 structures. See, this becomes 1, this becomes 1, this is 1, and this is 1. Totally, see, if I have to show, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tetrad divides and becomes 4 cells. These 4 cells are nothing but pollen grains. This was microspore mother cell. It became a tetrad, structure containing 4 cells. Then that undergoes again meiosis and 4 cells are separated. It was microspore mother cell, now it became microspore. How many microspores are formed? 4 microspores are formed. You should remember this for NEET point of view. Okay, we are going to discuss some questions based on this. Suppose these many cells are there, microspore mother cells are there, then how many in number it produces microspores or pollen grains? That question they ask. Single microspore mother cell produces 4 microspores. That means 4 pollen grains are produced. You know this, you have already learnt in theory. One microspore mother cell produces 4 pollen grains. Okay, or each pollen grain is haploid, n number. N haploid pollen grains. Okay, now what about these pollen grains? What kind of cells will be there in these pollen grains? That we should see. Structure of pollen grain, which is male gametophyte, which produces or which contains male gametes. What are those male gametes? We will see now. Okay, for that we should learn structure of pollen grain. Pollen grain, remember, it is a male gametophyte, not gamete. Gamete producing structure. Okay, the pollen grain, sorry. If you remember the structure, so pollen grain contains 2 cells. The larger cell is called vegetative cell. You know this. Vegetative cell. And the smaller cell is called generative cell. You know this. Okay, generative cell is also called tube cell. And the nucleus of vegetative cell should be called as vegetative nucleus. Okay, this vegetative nucleus and generative nucleus, what these two are there, they are gametes. So these two are gametes, male gametes. Okay, you can also call it as sperm cells. Okay, so the nucleus of vegetative cell is called vegetative nuclei. Then nucleus of generative cell should be called as generative nucleus, also called as tube nucleus, other name. Generative nucleus is also called tube nucleus. Then pollen grain is externally, it has very rough coat. There are two covers or two layers for the pollen grain, as you all know. The outer layer is called exine, inner layer is called intine. You know this, I am not teaching slowly, you already know this chapter, you have already learnt. So I am going little faster. Actually I am slow only, I usually don't go fast. Then outer exine is very rough and it is made up of a structure, hard structure called a sporopollenin. Sporopollenin is an organic material which is toughest organic material which cannot be degraded by any enzymes or acids or alkali. So sporopollenin cannot be degraded, it's a hardest organic material. So nothing can dissolve or disturb sporopollenin. Even if you put acids or bases, that is alkali, or any enzymes, these cannot degrade sporopollenin. Sporopollenin is undisturbed. If you put acid, base or any enzymes also, nothing happens to sporopollenin. Then in between the sporopollenin there will be holes present. Some holes are there which I will show in red color, see, pink color. There are holes present, these are called germ pores. Germ pores. These germ pores are required for germination. The inner layer intine produces a long tube-like structure that is called pollen tube. The pollen tube, when it has to come out, we already said sporopollenin is very hard. Then can you think how this pollen tube comes out of sporopollenin? It cannot penetrate because it is very hard sporopollenin chemical. Only pollen tube comes out only through those holes. What are those holes? These holes are germ pores. Name only indicates. Pore means hole. The pore which is meant for release of pollen tube. Okay, pollen tube comes out through these germ pores. Okay, then what about intine? The inner layer is smooth. It is made up of cellulose and pectin. Cellulose and pectin. Okay, then what about other characters you study about pollen grains? That is vegetative cell and generative cell. Sometimes what happens, generative cell, these are two cell stage now. Two cell stage means pollen grain has two cells. This is one big cell and this is one small cell. Okay, this is called two celled stage because pollen grain has two cells. The stage is called two celled stage. Sometimes pollen grain will have three celled stage in some plants, not in all the plants. In some plants, pollen grain will have three cells. How? This, what I am showing in yellow color now, this is generative cell. This generative cell produces spindle fibers and nucleus will be divided into two and entire cell divides into two. Okay, by mitosis, it undergoes mitosis and this cell what is there again divides and becomes two. See now, this is one cell and this is other cell. Totally how many cells are produced? This is cell number 1, this is cell number 2, this is cell number 3. Nothing happened to this bigger cell. Only mitosis happens here. Mitosis happens and these two this generative cell divides again by mitosis into 2 more cells. So 2 cells here plus 1 cell. Totally 3 cells will be produced. I hope you understood. Nothing happens to this bigger cell. Only smaller cell divides by mitosis into 2 more cells. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Totally 3 cells will be produced. Okay. So 60% of the plants, 60% of the angiosperms, pollen grains shed in 2 cell stage. You learned this. 60% of angiosperms means flowering plants shed pollen grains. Shed means release pollen grains in 2 cell stage. Then 2 celled stage. Then remaining 40% species of plants release pollen grains in 3 celled stage. Okay, 3 celled stage like this. Did you understand? Okay. Then what are the uses of pollen grains, where it is used other than pollination? Is it useful to human beings in any way? That also we have learned. And some problems also it causes. Let us see what are the problems faced by human beings by pollen grains. Pollen grains causes severe allergies in some. Like we have seen, some are allergic to rose. Okay, when you take a smell of rose, pollen grains you may inhale. Okay, you may breathe in, and it may cause some irritation in the lungs. So it causes sometimes severe allergies. Okay, or sometimes bronchial afflictions. Bronchial affliction. You know what is bronchus means? It is a trachea, windpipe, divides into 2 branches which goes to lungs. Okay, these tubes will have infection inside because of pollen grains. Okay, and irritation, itching sensation, burning sensation, inflammation in the bronchus, and severe allergies, severe sneezing, all that happens. These are the problems faced by pollen grains. You know about that plant, that is carrot grass or Parthenium plant, which is weed, unwanted plant. Okay, in India we call it as a communist plant also. Communist plant, it is also called as Congress plant. Okay, it is also called as Congress plant, communist plant, carrot grass, Parthenium. That you know that it grows everywhere, you know, like unwanted plant. How it came to India? It is not Indian plant. It came from other country through wheat. When we were importing wheat from other country, along with that one plant came to India. Now India is full of these Parthenium plant. We can't eliminate, we can't remove this from our country. Like that, very fast it grows. Okay, so the pollen grains produced by these plants also, okay, they do severe pollination and increase number of plants. Okay, so waste plant. Then what about uses of pollen grains? If we see, pollen grains are rich in nutrients. It is used as food in other countries. We get pollen tablets, pollen capsules. Okay, that is why they use it, because they believe that by taking these pollen tablets, it increases performance. Increases performance in athletes, sports person. Athletes, and even in race horses also. Race horses, they give these pollen tablets to race horses. Then its running ability, it runs fast, its ability increases. Even for the athletes also, it is used as a food supplement. Okay, they take these tablets. Okay, they consume these tablets. So it is believed that it increases their performance because it is rich with nutrients. Okay, then what about other characters of pollen grains? Let us see. Viability of pollen grains. Viability means survival ability. Like how many hours or how many days pollen grains will be alive. Okay. After that time, pollen grains will be dead. It is of no use. So how many days it can survive or how many hours it can survive. In some plants, pollen grain survives for only 30 minutes. Okay, only for 30 minutes it can survive. So which are those plants? Like rice, wheat plants. Rice, wheat plants, pollen grain viability is only 30 minutes. Once pollen grains are released, it will be alive, it will be viable for 30 minutes. In some plants like Rosaceae, plants which belongs to family Rosaceae, then Leguminosae, and Solanaceae. In plants which belongs to these families, Rosaceae, Leguminosae, Solanaceae, you know, you have learned these three families, where pollen grains of these plants which belongs to these three families will be viable for months, some months, like 3 months, 4 months, 2 months. Okay, so this is viability. And we find pollen grains as fossils also. Fossil means, you know, remains of plants or animals which was preserved long ago, so many millions of years ago, some 1,000 years or some 100 years ago also. What plants were there? Its pollen grains are preserved as it is in the soil. It remained as it is in the soil. Why it is not disturbed? Because nothing happened to these pollen grains, because very tough outer coat is there in the exine, that is sporopollenin, you know, that is a toughest organic material. It cannot be degraded by acids, bases or enzymes. So it remains as fossils. Then we can store pollen grains like sperm. You know, human sperm will be stored in a liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees Celsius. Minus 196 degrees Celsius. Sperm will be stored. Okay, and it is called as sperm bank. Bank is a organization where money will be stored, isn't it? Here there are sperm banks where sperm will be stored. Whenever it is required for artificial insemination. Artificial insemination means, in reproductive health chapter we have learnt, when a male cannot produce sperm, husband cannot produce sperm, but wife produces egg, then sperm will be taken from other male which is already stored there from sperm bank. Then artificially fertilization is done. That is artificial insemination. Like how sperms are stored in sperm bank, same way pollen grains are also stored. Pollen grains can also be stored at minus 196 degrees Celsius, okay, in liquid nitrogen. In liquid nitrogen, these pollen grains will be kept and stored at minus 196 degrees Celsius, and the process is called cryopreservation. Cryopreservation is done for sperm also, even for egg also. Egg, sperms, pollen grains also can be stored in liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees Celsius. Process is called cryopreservation. Okay, so you can store pollen grains also. This is called pollen banks. Okay, so these are some interesting points about pollen grains. Then we will also see about different types of pollen grains which we usually don't learn in textbook. Different types based on the shape of pollen grains. Actually this much they don't ask for NEET, because they have asked before when it was AIPMT. Now it is called as NEET. Earlier it was called AIPMT. Means AIPMT means All India Pre-Medical Test they used to conduct before. Later AIPMT is only renamed as NEET. Okay, AIPMT was conducted by CBSE. CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education used to conduct, New Delhi. They used to conduct this AIPMT. Later NTA, National Testing Agency, conducts NEET now. AIPMT is only renamed as NEET. Okay. So nowadays for NEET they don't ask much beyond the textbook. They are asking from the textbook only, from past 2 years. Before that they used to ask beyond the textbook, because you don't know next year what kind of thinking they have. So based on that we will learn little bit beyond the textbook also, because some questions will be discussed based on this. Okay, there are different types of pollen grains which we are going to learn. That is tetrahedral, isobilateral, decussate. These are pollen grains. Pollen grain structure is only like this. This is called tetrahedral. Based on the shape, tetrahedral pollen grain. Then isobilateral pollen grains. If it is like this, structure is like this, then it is isobilateral pollen grain. Then structures, if it is like this, unequal, then it is decussate. Decussate pollen grains. Then if it is T-shaped, then it is called T-shaped pollen grain. T-shaped pollen grain. It is long structure. Okay, totally 4 cells. 2 cells will be here, then it is divided into 2 cells like this. So it looks like English T-shaped, So it is called T-shaped pollen grains. In different families, different plants, you find these different types of pollen grains. If all the cells are arranged in 4 layers like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, then it is linear pollen grains. Okay, so if structure shape is given like this with 4 options, what type of pollen grain is this? Then it is, if all 4 cells are same, then it is isobilateral. These are the types of pollen grains. I thought you should know this. This deep they don't ask, but having knowledge is not waste. It is good only. So we just learnt about pollen grains. Some more interesting fact we should learn. That is, in case of some families like Orchidaceae and Asclepiadaceae family, special structures will be there. It is called pollinia. In members of family Orchidaceae, orchids, decorating plants, and Asclepiadaceae. Asclepiadaceae means Calotropis family. Calotropis ekka gida gottala. So like in Shivaratri and all, we use that blue color. If you cut the leaves of these plants, white color milky latex comes, that is Asclepiadaceae family. They will have special structure called pollinia or pollinium, singular plural forms, Pollinium. Okay, the structure will be like this. This is a structure of pollinium. Okay, so it will have a structure called corpusculum. This is stigma. This part is called corpusculum. Both, this is like a hanger like or holdings, okay, structure like how you hold bags. Like that, insects, especially beetles, insects, these will hold it and carry it. Okay, so this is a structure which is used for carrying it. So this is called translator apparatus. Okay, so this is a structure of pollinium. Then special structures are there called cortical. These structures, the two are called cortical. Then inside so many pollen grains will be there. This is not single pollen grain, it is a pollen bag. It is also called pollen kit. Pollen kit or pollen bag. It is found in two families. This is very important for neat point. Orchidaceae and Asclepiadaceae family. Pollen kit or pollen bag. What these individual box I am showing, this is all pollen grains. Okay, so these are structures which is entire structure is called pollen bag or pollinia or pollinium. Okay, this stigma, what is there? This is sticky. It has a gum-like material. So when insect comes to flower for removing pollen grains, at that time legs or body parts of the insects will get stuck because it is a gum-like structure. Then when the insect goes, okay, it will have a pollinium bag-like structure. Unknowingly, the insect will not know this. Then when insect goes to other flower, unknowingly it drops this pollinium. Okay, so that pollen grains are transferred from one flower to other flower. So it is a cross pollination, Okay, so this was about pollen grains. Then microsporogenesis we know. Then what about megasporogenesis, which happens in female part, that is called gynoecium. Gynoecium. Okay, gynoecium, or sometimes we also call pistil. In some plants, or sometimes it is called carpel also. Okay, in some plants it is monocarpellary. Means gynoecium has only one carpel. Sometimes it is multicarpellary and gynoecium has more than one carpels. Okay, then it has three structures. Gynoecium means it is ovary, bulbous structure, then long elongated structure is style, then a knob-like structure present at the top is called stigma. This. Okay, then when you take a cross section of ovary, then there will be many structures. They are called ovules. Okay, each ovule is a megasporangium. Pollen grains are called microspores because it is very small in size. Compared to pollen grain, egg is large, not this big, very small, but compared to pollen grain it is big. So it is called megaspore. Mega means big, or macrospore, both are same. Sporangium means bag-like structure which contains microspores. Which are those? That is these ovules. Okay, entire ovary becomes fruit later. This entire part becomes fruit. Then what these ovules will become? They become a seed. Okay, so these ovules, inside it contains egg. So egg is a gamete. Egg is female gamete. So female gamete carrying structure should be called as female gametophyte, isn't it? Female gametophyte. So female gametophyte is Female gametophyte is what? The structure which is present inside the ovule, that is embryo sac. Then what ovule is called as? Ovule is megasporangium. Female gametophyte is embryo sac. Male gametophyte is pollen grain. Female gametophyte is embryo sac, because embryo sac contains 8 cells inside. You know this: 3 antipodal cells, 2 polar nuclei, 1 egg and 2 synergids. Okay, so this female gametophyte embryo sac will be present inside the megasporangium. Oh, so megasporangium is ovule. If you see the structure of ovule, there are 6 different types of ovule. Okay, I will draw one structure that is called anatropous ovule. So you know what is this structure about. This is a stalk. With this stalk only, ovule gets attached to ovary wall. Here, this is a central wall, that is axis or ovary wall. Okay, here this funicle will be there. So 2 ovules will bind to a structure. That is, this structure stalk is called funicle. Then the structure here is called chalaza. Okay. Sorry. This part where ovule can move like this, flexible, that is called hilum. And this part is chalaja. You know this. Then ovule will be covered by layers called integuments, that is protective in function. It protects the ovule. If you tap the ovule, nothing happens to egg inside, because egg will be protected by these outer coverings, that is called integuments. Okay, later integuments become seed coat outside. Then this entire structure, what is there? Okay, let me show in yellow color. This entire structure is embryo sac. Sac means bag-like structure. This entire structure later becomes embryo. So it is embryo sac. Then the central cell, what is there, which I will show in orange color. See, the central cell, that is egg. Egg is female gamete. So female gamete is present inside the structure called embryo sac. So embryo sac is a structure which contains gamete. That is why embryo sac is called female gametophyte. Then this female gametophyte embryo sac is present within a bag-like structure, that is entire ovule. So ovule is called megasporangium. Sporangium is a bag-like structure. Okay. Then these 3 cells are called, 3 cells are there, that is called antipodal cells. Then 2 nuclei are there which is separated from each other, that is called polar nuclei. You know this, first year also you have learnt. Double fertilization, triple fusion, you have learnt in first year also. Then central cell is egg. Then these 2 cells present are called synergids. Then along with that some finger-like structures will be there, that is filiform apparatus, you know, you can't see here. Then the opening is present for entry of pollen tube, that is micropyle, you know. Okay. Then how these cells are produced, how this embryo sac is produced, that also we should see. So before we go to that, first the cells present there, first the cell is called megaspore mother cell. Then megaspore mother cell, it is surrounded by a structure called nucellus. which is nutritive tissue, which gives food nutrition for growth of this megaspore mother cell. Then megaspore mother cell becomes a structure which is having 2 nuclei. This is called dyad. Then it becomes elongated in structure with 4 nuclei. Then again it gets elongated and becomes 8 nuclei by division. Okay. Then slowly 3 nuclei here goes to one corner, 3 goes to other corner, and 2 remains in the center. And finally it becomes what? 3 nuclei here, okay, and 2 here and 3 here. So central one is egg, these 2 are synergids, and these 2 are polar nuclei, and these are antipodal cells. You know this. Okay, it is also called as 7-celled and 8-nucleate embryo sac. You know this, we have already learnt. 7-celled, 8-nucleate, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nuclei are there. Total cells are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then entire cell. So it is 7-celled, 8-nucleate embryo sac. Then let us see different types of ovules present there. Different types of ovules are there based on the position of micropyle and chalaja. So if the shape is like this, like this, you know, where what is that, micropyle is present here, then what type of embryo it should be called as? It is like this. So the shape is like this. Then what type of embryo it should be called as? Embryo sac is here. Okay, embryo sac is here. Then what type of ovule it should be called as? It is called as atropous ovule. Atropous. Then if it is like this, you know, that is what I was drawing there. Okay, embryo sac is here. Micropyle is facing this side. Then it is called anatropous ovule. Anatropous. It is faced like this. Okay. Then if it is perpendicular 90 degree, then it should be called campylotropous. 90 degree means like this. Embryo sac is here. Okay, micropyle is here, hilum is here, so it is exactly 90 degree. Okay, then it should be called as campylotropous ovule. Campylotropous. Then if funicle, that is stalk, and what is that? That is, this is funicle and this is micropyle. If they are very near, then what it should be called as? It should be called by the name that is, sorry, what I was saying, you know, this is hemianatropous. Hemi means partial. This structure 90 degree, it is hemianatropous. Then if it is slightly, micropyle is here, Okay, embryo sac is like this. Then if this micropyle and funicle is nearby, then it is called as campylotropous. Campylotropous ovule. Then amphitropous ovule is there when it is very near. Amphitropous. This is the structure. This is called amphitropous ovule. Based on the shape, you should be able to identify. If it is completely twisted, it comes funicle and micropyle comes in exactly opposite direction, then it is cercinotropous. It is like this, taking one turn and it should come this way. Okay. Funicle or stalk is here, funicle is here and micropyle is here, exactly opposite direction, then it is called cercinotropous ovule. So remember based on the shapes. Okay, so let us discuss questions on these concepts. So I have to turn this. Sorry. I hope you can read this. So the first question is, the diagram given by the side represents sectional view of, this is KCET 2008 question. Okay, so the options are amphitropous, campylotropous, anatropous and orthotropous. That you can see already, it was there in the board just now I was showing. If it is like this, then what it should be called as? It is orthotropous. It is also called as atropous. There are two names, atropous or orthotropous, both are same. Okay, it should be called as option D, orthotropous ovule. Then next question, you read next question, that is, in a flowering plant the pollen tube first arrives in, this is DUMET 2011. DUMET means before it was Delhi University Medical Entrance Test 2011. Okay, in a flowering plant, pollen tube first arrives means comes from egg, antipodal cell, synergid and central cell. This you know, it comes through synergid, the synergid which helps for entry of pollen tube. So it arrives from option C, that is synergid. Then next question. This is very simple based on what we have learned, microsporogenesis. They have given a structure of anther, cross section of anther. The following is a diagram of TS or transverse section of anther. Identify the parts labeled as A, B and C. They have already labeled there, you just have to identify which was that part. This is KCET 2011 question. So they have given options, you know what it is. So A should be, according to you, A should be connective, B should be endothecium, what they have given there, layers. Outermost is epidermis, then comes endothecium. They are showing second layer only. So it is endothecium. Then C should be pollen grains. They are showing inside the sporangium. So it is pollen grains. So option should be option A, correct answer. Then, how many male gametes are present in male gametophyte of an angiosperm? How many male gametes? Male gametes are what? What are male gametes there? How many cells? Totally sex cells, okay. How many male gametes are present in male gametophyte of an angiosperm? How many are there according to you? This is MHT CET 2010. that is Maharashtra. Okay, they used to ask Maharashtra CET. Okay, so it should be 2. You know, male gamete means, you know, cells, generative cell and vegetative cell, and generative nucleus, vegetative nucleus. So male gametophyte is pollen grain. How many cells are there in pollen grain? 2 cells are there, vegetative cell, generative cell, and their nuclei are called vegetative nuclei, generative nuclei. So 2, totally 2. So option B. Then the endosperm of an angiosperm develops from what? Endosperm is triploid, you know, 3N. Endosperm, triploid. It is formed by double fertilization, triple fusion, which you have learnt in first year. You know this. Okay, egg is 2N, sorry, egg is N. Then when fertilization happens, zygote is formed by the egg. Pollen grain and egg meets and becomes a zygote. Zygote is 2N because pollen grain is N, egg is N. N plus N becomes 2N. Then one more nuclei, that is vegetative nuclei, goes and binds with 2 polar nuclei, isn't it? Polar nuclei are N and N, and one vegetative cell goes and binds, vegetative nuclei. So N plus N, 2 polar nuclei plus vegetative nucleus. So it is N plus N plus N. So it is 3N. So endosperm in angiosperms develops from, again it is MHT, Maharashtra, CET 2009. Endosperm of angiosperms develops from what? Zygote, secondary nucleus, chalajal, polar nucleus, micropylar, polar nucleus. What it is? It should be option D, isn't it? Option D or option B? It should be option B, isn't it? Endosperm in angiosperms develops from zygote, secondary nucleus, chalajal, polar nucleus, micropylar, polar nucleus. Endosperm is produced by secondary nucleus, isn't it? Secondary nucleus. So secondary nucleus means what? Polar nuclei and vegetative nucleus. Vegetative nucleus is called secondary nucleus there, because primary nucleus is tube cell, which comes first in the pollen tube. There are 2 nuclei, both will enter pollen tube. First nucleus meets egg, second nucleus meets polar nuclei. So it should be secondary nucleus. Option B. Then, very interesting question. Number of meiotic divisions required to produce 100 microspore in angiosperm is? Number of meiotic divisions required to produce 100 microspore in angiosperm is? That means what they are asking, how many meiotic division should happen to produce 100 pollen grains? Microspore is pollen grain. How many divisions should happen according to you? It is 25, isn't it? Because one microspore mother cell produces 4 pollen grains. Okay, one division happens and one microspore mother cell produces 4 pollen grains. So how to produce 100 microspores, how many divisions should happen? 25, isn't it? Because 25 into 4 is 100. So it should be option D, that is 25. This is Manipal 2006 question. Manipal University used to ask separately entrance exams. Now everywhere it is NEET only. Okay, CET is not for medical. For MBBS and BDS, so medical and dental courses, NEET is compulsory. Then for other courses like agriculture, BSc, forestry, B Pharma, all these things, CET. Okay, so next question. Number of meiotic divisions required to produce 100 macrospore in an angiosperm or egg is? You know, macrospore, you should know that one embryo sac contains only one egg. Okay, in microspore mother cell, one microspore mother cell produces 4 pollen grains. Here one embryo sac produces 1 egg only. So it is direct question. How many meiotic divisions are required to produce 100 megaspores in an angiosperm? That is, it should be 100 only, isn't it? 100, because one embryo sac produces 1 egg. So 100 embryo sacs produces 100 eggs. So it should be option C, that is 100. So this is it. So in detail we have discussed NEET in today's class. I hope you have understood. Okay, as you have learned in theory these concepts, so it was easy for us to discuss. Okay, and this is the correct way of discussing NEET. Once theory chapter is over, then we have to discuss NEET questions. Then it is very easy. Okay, so thank you very much. Keep watching my classes. Thank you.